Good morning, everybody. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love. Your daily dose of inspiration and juice. It is July the 24th, 2024, and today the topic is Focus on Jesus. Yes, focus on Jesus, y'all. Happy Wednesday? Yeah, I think it's Wednesday. Um, it's Happy Wednesday, everybody. I hope you guys had a wonderful Tuesday. Mine was just fine. Yes, mine was good overall. My main highlights for yesterday. I did not end up recording an episode of the GSL Talk Show, even though that was a part of the plan. I guess that's going to get rescheduled. And I did go to therapy yesterday, so that was nice as well. I always look forward to the therapy situation. I mean, I miss doing it every week, but at the same time, I'm like, look, I am grateful for the every other week. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the church. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So those are the main highlights. I mean, I was just pretty much hustling from home, doing my little thing. Getting things together. As you guys, if you do follow your girl, I was telling you guys a little bit about this yesterday, but it has already come to fruition that actressmiraclesims.com looks vastly different now. Only a few things is there and available for you guys to peruse and click or whatever the case may be. So there's no side hustles on there. Everything is GSL outside of my coaching services. So look, I'm trying to clean things up. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to chew up the meat, spit out the bones when it comes to the feedback and whatnot. I don't, like I said, I don't want to be one of those people that I'm uncoachable. I don't want to be uncoachable, which my therapist, I guess, adamantly was saying that is not you. That is not something you should worry about. But I'm like, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't want to be, you know what I mean? So I'm doing my best. But anyway, yeah, so I'm working on that type of stuff yesterday. Shout out to Elizabeth, girl. Thank you. My virtual assistant over there in Kenya. Y'all keep Kenya in their prayers and whatnot as well. Um, yeah, so things are gonna look a little different, especially with the actress Miracle Sims Instagram. But hey, we gonna see what the Lord do. All right. Um, yeah. Aside from that, man, yeah, that was the main stuff. I mean, just still kind of plotting and planning for NJ. Like I said, we only got 2 weeks until he starts school, so I feel like it's 2 weeks until things are gonna drastically change in our household. Like I said, we're gonna be kicking it off also with 21 days of prayer. So me and my husband was kind of talking about that as well, about like how we're gonna honor that and whatnot. Speaking of my little family, today we're supposed to do, I guess, like a day trip vibes. Because he has to go over to South Carolina for something. And so he asked us if we, wanted to go. And I'm like, hey, yes, let's go. I need a change of scenery anyway. So hopefully this will give me some vibes of vacation. Seeing as I don't know, like, if we're going to get any other opportunity before school starts. So yeah, that was going on. So I started moving things around, you know what I'm saying? Financially, and I was telling my sister about that as well. I know she was, sharing some of her issues and whatnot. And she was sharing how God has been providing as well, but how, obviously it's a interesting place to be where you're like, Lord, I'm just trusting you. And then you're like, I got all these ideas. I got things I want to do. And then, you look at it and you feel like you don't have the funds. And I was like, look, I was there, a few years ago. And I'm telling you what has helped me. Starting to be more intentional with the funds. Like they come in. I be intentional about tithing. I be intentional about putting some in savings or what I call my fund money right now. And, doing stuff like that. And since I've been doing that, your girl has not been lacking. Like, I mean, even though, for example, I was looking at my accounts like, okay, we about to go out of town tomorrow and I want to be able to, have fun and not worry about it, that type of thing. And I'm like, okay, I need to start moving everything over here. Let me put everything over here, and stuff like that. And now we got a good little amount to play around with today. So, looking forward to that. Hopefully it don't just rain. I feel like it's been raining a lot over the past week. And it rained some yesterday as well. So we'll see how it goes. But that is the general plan for today. But anywho, let's have this conversation. Y'all focus on Jesus, y'all. Look, tunnel vision. Focus on the Lord. I mean, I feel like I'm reiterating this in three different ways. I mean, again, the other day we was talking about listen to him, right? And then yesterday we pretty much was talking about obedience is not optional and things of that nature. And now, the Lord is giving me focus on Jesus. So, I mean, I know there's so much going on in the world. Yes, I will acknowledge I don't know the lady's name off the top of my head right now, but I will acknowledge that I did see the people posting about another police shooting and things of that nature. And yes, there's so much going on in the world, so we can easily get distracted by all the things. But I guess I'm here to remind us all today and remind myself, right, to focus on Jesus. Now, what led me to this morning was several things. So I woke up this morning. It had to been around 2:39 apparently, because that's what I came across this morning, or that's the time I looked up, and then I pretty much went back to sleep and things like that. Um, and then I did wake up a little closer to my time around 4 something. I think I made a note of that too, but I didn't look up that time this morning. After I had looked up into 2:39, but ultimately, I listened to the prayer meditation. I did all of that. I was a little distracted while I did that as well. I ain't gonna lie. And just looking into different things on social media, and then just also having a conversation with the Chat Holy Bible team, as well as the app. I was texting. They gave me access to text them or whatever the case may be. So I was texting the creator of the app, I believe, and then also taking a look at the app and, talking to it about space, because my husband is in the living room and he's like listening to this thing about space or whatnot. And so I was like, how do we know, what's accurate? And, so I started having a conversation with Chat Holy Bible about different things. And then ultimately I ended up going back to sleep again. And this time I ended up having a dream, y'all. And at first I'm like, I don't know if I was going to share it or not. I did, do my best to do some interpretations and different things like that. Um, and so the part that I feel led to share with you guys is basically there was an ant hill or an ant bed. We call them down here in the South. I don't know. So it was an ant hill in the dream. There was other stuff that was going on in the dream, but the main part I remember is this. It was like NJ had came in from outside, and I was like, "Where have you been?" And he was like, "Oh, out there." He named a little guy, a little kid. And then I went outside, and it was like a dad and a little kid. And it's not in our neighborhood because it's not where we live. It was in a neighborhood, but it wasn't ours. But anyway, he was out there with his kid, and they were next to this big ant bed or ant hill, and it was like swarming with ants. And now I remember the guy saying something like, "Oh, stay away from that" or something. It seemed like he was saying it to his son, maybe even to NJ. But I was kind of NJ was standing in front of me, and I was kind of holding him, from the back, how they do like that. And I was, and it seemed like the man was like, I feel like he had glasses on too, but I don't know if that has anything to do with anything. But it was like a man, he was like kneeling down, like super close to the ant bed, like really, really looking in there and stuff like that. And these ants are just swarming. And I was telling, NJ, I was like, stay away from that X, Y, and Z. And then the last thing that I remember, I know this gonna sound crazy, but I'm just gonna tell you. So there was different things I feel like I was observing about the ants. I feel like they were trying to get, like, they were doing what they do, like when they eat or when they gather or store something. So it seemed like they were doing their thing and they were getting something and taking it wherever they was taking it. And then the last thing that I remember is a pug dog. I know this gonna sound crazy, but a pug dog was standing in the middle of the ant bed on its two legs, and then it seemed like, how they have the two other legs was kind of like arms stretched out, and it seemed like it was getting ready to say something, and that's when I woke up. So I looked into, a few of those things. Those symbols on, you guys know I go to dreammoves.com sometimes and look up things there. And I did, have a conversation with the Chat Holy Bible app as well about the dream and things of that nature. And everything was resonating. It made some sense. I mean, ultimately, what I was receiving overall about the dream was that even in spite of, again, the craziness, right? In spite of, being in the ant bed and all these different type of things, perhaps we need to be as unbothered as the pug dog was, be able to stand up in it and get ready to say something, whatever the case may be. And then I ain't gonna lie, like, I can't, one of the things that stood out to me as well is how dog backwards is God. So I don't know. Listen, all I know is that those are the things that was kind of standing out to me this morning. And I feel led to share them because ultimately, as I was getting ready to start doing the juice, I ended up going to the verse that I came across when I plugged in Acts. When I plugged in 2:39, the verse that came up was 2:39, and it said this: "For the promise is unto you and to your children, and to all that are afar off, even as many as the Lord our God shall call." So when I read that this morning, after going through the thing about the dream and, acknowledging how I was protecting my son and all that different type of stuff, I was like, it seems like this stuff is going together. Now, to me, now, I don't know, maybe not to you, might sound crazy, but I'm just telling you how I came to this today, right? And so I'm like, okay, that's interesting. It sounds like, God has let me know that, hey, the promise is for me and my children, and things of that nature, right? And I'm like, okay. And but then I thought back on the dream and stuff like that, of how the pug dog was calm and standing up and getting ready to say something, and not being attacked. But now I think I had a dream not long ago about either me stepping in the ant bed or something along those lines, where it wasn't affecting me being in this ant bed of craziness, right? And ultimately, what led me to the focus on Jesus part of this conversation is I ended up plugging 2424 into the Strauss Concordance, because y'all know that today is July the 24th, 2024. So I was like, that, let me see if that means something. Let me just see. I plugged in 72424 first, and that didn't bring up anything. So I just plugged 2424, and would y'all know, this is what came up. The Greek word that came up represents Jesus. So to me, man, I was like, you know what? All of this seems like it's going together in a conversation to share right now. And so that's what I felt led to go deeper about and look into this morning. And I guess, again, the overall message is to focus on Jesus. Yes, there's so much going on. Yes, we can feel like we are in an ant bed and it's like going crazy and all the ants is going everywhere and it's all crazy in that aspect. But we don't have to worry about those things, right? We know that we have the promise of God for us and our, the next generation and the next generation, and it goes on and on and on. That those in Christ don't have to worry about the calamity of the world ultimately. Now I get it; it's tough to feel that way, and I actually sometimes, like, even as I was thinking that this morning, I'm like, that, not to say it's selfish, but I don't know another word to describe like that feeling of like, oh, I don't have to worry about again, the issues of life and stuff like that. That doesn't make light of any of the issues, right? That doesn't make light of what people are going through in their life and what I even go through and stuff like that. Because that all that stuff is valid, right? How you feel in regards to, the things you are witnessing or the things that you experience and stuff, and everything isn't good. So it's not, I'm not going to sit here and act like it's the easiest thing to just say, hey, focus on God and don't focus on nothing else. But I believe that the Bible is calling us to do that. Regardless, again, of what we're going through. And what we're seeing and experiencing and things of that nature. And so here are some verses that I hope will encourage you and inspire you to make that decision to focus on Jesus. Psalm 105:4 says, "Seek the Lord and his strength. Seek his presence continually." So y'all can make sure that it says seek. I think that it does. But yeah, seek his presence continually. At the end of the day, again, I know, like I said, we can get easily distracted. I was distracted as I did the prayer meditation this morning. I was, I get it, man. It's so much going on that it's easy to get distracted by the things of this world. But can we try our best not to do that? Believers, can we do our best not to get distracted and to focus on Jesus and to do whatever it is that he is calling us to do? My understanding of what I'm receiving right now is that not only does this affect me and you personally, but it's going to affect the generations after us, including our children and our children's children, and going on from there. And so, again, you just never know like how this thing is going to play out and what impact that you can have right on the kingdom and the overall bigger picture of what the Lord is doing. So again, let's focus on Jesus. Here's another verse, y'all. Romans 8:5. It says, "For those who live according to the flesh set their minds on the things of the flesh. But those who live according to the Spirit sets their minds on the things of the Spirit." So there you go, friends. I mean, again, what are you setting your mind on? I get it. I know bills are due. We hungry. You might need some clothes. You might need shelter. You know what I mean? Like, I get that all of these things are practical, things that people are going through. And it's tough to sit here and say, oh, focus on Jesus. Like, what is Jesus doing for me? X, Y, and Z. That people can use that and say that, right? So again, as I went deeper, I went back to the app because I was reading the rest of the verses, and you guys can look at those verses as well. Just plug in at openbible.info, plug in, focus on Jesus, and there's plenty of verses to peruse and let marinate on your heart, souls, and minds. But I was looking at those verses, and I didn't necessarily, they weren't resonating for me to share them right now. And so I was like, well, Lord, what else did you want me to share with the people about this? And ultimately, I asked the question, why focus on Jesus? Because again, we can sit here and, a lot of people can ask that question and say, oh, what has he done for me? Or, how could he allow all the bad, evil things to happen? Or, different things of that nature. Like, people are asking that question, why? Why focus on Jesus? So, now chathellobible.com, that app, it ended up making a grand list again. But I'm gonna only share like the final thought and the like five, I think it was, um, 4 or 5 different reasons to focus on Jesus. One, focusing on Jesus will help us to find our purpose and our meaning. Again, a lot of us are going through life and we don't know who we are, why we're here. We feel like as if there's no purpose and things of that nature, and that is not true according to the Bible, right? According to the Bible, we are created for a purpose and God, a part of God's plan and different things of that nature. And so, in order to walk in those things, we got to again focus on Jesus to know what our purpose and meaning is. The next thing is to develop a deeper understanding of God's love and character. Again, like a lot of us think of God as just this, disciplinarian that's just looking at everything that we do and ready to cast us down. Some look at him as super duper nice and let me do whatever I want to do with no consequences, right? So again, I think both of those ends of the spectrum are, I guess my understanding is, inaccurate. So in order for us to get truly understand his character and him a little bit more, we need to focus on Jesus. I mean, that's what the Bible is telling us to do. And y'all know on here on this platform, I talk about the Bible. All right. So then let's give you guys another reason. And that is, let me see. It's a way to discover the strengths and guidance that we need to navigate life's challenges. There's a lot of us that's going through stuff. I just named a bunch of stuff that we go through in life, right? And then we think that either we need to handle this stuff on our own or we try, right, to handle these things on our own, and a lot of times we, mess things up even worse sometimes, right? When we try to do things in our own way. And so if we focus on Jesus, we'll see a better way to navigate the issues of life and the challenges of life and things of that nature. He's going to give us strength and guidance to do that. Now, again, everybody don't want to. You got free will. That's what the Lord then blessed us with. So at the end of the day, hey, choose you this day who you want to serve or how you want to do it. But according to the Bible, it seems as if he has the better way, the better plan. And since he knows all the things, it just seems like a better choice to, again, trust him to give us the strength and the guidance to navigate the issues of life. Because we're going to have ups and downs. We're going to have issues. The Bible's very clear about that. And we see that in our lives. That, even those that come to Christ and those have probably that been, sanctified from birth, right? Those people are still going to go through the ups and downs of life, right? And so, we need to know a better way to navigate those things, and that is the way that we know, by focusing on Jesus. Another reason why is to experience the hope that comes from knowing him. At the end of the day, again, a lot of us are living hopeless because we feel as if, again, we're nothing. We feel as if we don't have any understanding of the things that I already mentioned. So then now we don't have hope. We're like, there's no point. And so if I'm just a clump of cells, let me get rid of my life, or whatever the case may be. I serve no purpose. Like, there's a lot of people that live that way. And then, they end up killing themselves, or they end up doing things, allowing, the enemy to use them in different ways, to, possibly in someone else's life, which I guess is one of the worst things that can happen as a human. Like, I hate to say to die is one of the worst things, but like to die a horrific death, you know what I mean? Like be killed and things of that nature. Now, again, I understand that torture and all that is probably worse than death, depending on what you're going through, what you've been through. And I'm thinking about Allie right now. Hope her and her mom is okay. But yeah, hearing her testimonies, I know she would say all the time there are things worse than death. So I do get that, if you've gone through, or for example, if you're witnessing the horrors of human trafficking and all that type of stuff. I mean, I'm sure that's probably worse than death, because now you got to live with that and those thoughts. Even my husband the other day was showing me some things that he might have seen on the dark web and things of that nature. And I'm like, horrific stuff, man. I get it. You know what I mean? Like, and you don't want to think that humans have the capacity to do such evil things to one another, but unfortunately we do. And again, so unfortunately people are, and whether they know it or not, being influenced by the enemy to cause this type of havoc. But again, we can be in that ant bed, y'all. We can be in the ball of confusion and things of that nature, but we don't have to worry or stress if we are focused on Jesus. So that's ultimately the juice of today. I hope that you guys are encouraged and inspired to, yes, focus on Jesus. Again, you guys can go deeper and look at those verses at, I didn't end up putting it in the Go Deeper section, but again, y'all can just go to openbible.info, plug in that phrase, focus on Jesus, and see what other verses came up. And then the only other thing I would say is just challenge yourself to do that today. Challenge yourself that in spite of whatever you're going through, whatever you're witnessing, whatever you are experiencing, can you challenge yourself to focus on Jesus today? Dedicate this 24 hours. Can you do that? See what it does for you. Hopefully it will bring you some peace, and that's ultimately the juice. Now, the Bible verse of today is Psalm 42:1. And it says, as the hart panteth after the water brooks, so panteth my soul after thee, oh God. Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration and juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye.